Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today I wanted to talk about the fact that Saturday was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I've talked about 9/11 before. Um, Personally, I remember that day fairly well, driving to work, and on the radio after they came in from a commercial, they says they because I didn't turn on the radio till I was almost at work. But they talked about one of the twin towers being hit by a plane, and they said there may be a second one hit. I think I was going to work around 9 or 10 that morning. I didn't get in till mid morning because that's the way my schedule was. But yeah, I remember that quite well. I got into work and it had been on the radio. People were talking about it in work. And, then they were talking about, I'm even hearing that the Pentagon may be hit. Not, yeah, Pentagon. Pentagon may be hit. It may hit in Washington, D.C. There was even rumors it hit the White House. And there was a lot of confusion that day. Yeah. You have to remember, this is when the internet was still young. It wasn't the place to go. I don't even think there was a Google at that point. I know there was no YouTube. So a lot of what you received as information was either off the television or off the radio or word of mouth. And so a lot of what we got was from the radio because I myself was at work with my coworkers at the steakhouse I worked at. But yeah, there was a lot of confusion about what was really going on, what was fully attacked. And then after I got off work, I was driving to a relative's house because I usually like to go there and we'd play some video games and stuff. And yeah, uh, on my way there, the gas prices were outrageous. I saw it. I mean, you have to remember, gas at this point was $1.50 usually, and it had shot up all the way to $5. Some places even higher. And I'm like, what is going on? And so when I arrived at my friend's house, because where we hung out so much, he was one of my better friends, but also a relative. We watched some TV and we're talking about what was going on. I'm telling talking to him about how crazy this stuff is. And it was after watching TV, I see the results of the planes having struck the Twin Towers, both towers collapsing, um, that the Pentagon had been hit, and it was only then I found out about the fourth plane. But yeah, the results from that day have been huge. The Department of Homeland Security didn't exist until that day. How strict they've become on um, getting onto airlines and checking people and everything didn't exist until that day. The Patriot Act didn't exist until that day. It really changed a lot of how the U.S. functions. Even some other countries, they changed how they look at stuff at least a little bit. But for the U.S., there was a lot that changed. And it put us into two wars. First, the Afghanistan war, which we just finally left. Finally, thank goodness, we're out of that war. Only took 20 years, the longest war in American history. We accomplished finding bin Laden and defeating Al-Queda within the first half of it. We were there 10 years longer than we needed to be. But I've done talked about getting out of Afghanistan and told my feelings on that. So you can go back and look at those videos. But we also got into the Iraq War, which served no purpose. It was an excuse to go after oil, perhaps even to take down not Osama, uh, Saddam Hussein, who was in charge during the first Gulf War when George W. Bush's dad, George Bush the first, Herbert Walker Bush, went in and fought Iraq to protect Kuwait. And he fought against Saddam Hussein, who was in charge of Iraq. Because we found no nuclear weapons. None. It served no purpose. It was an excuse for the military industrial complex to make money. All it was. So, one war highly unnecessary. The other war overstaying as as when we could have been out a decade earlier. Yeah, there is just so much wrong with what we did after the war. It also helped stoke the flames of a lot of hate against people from the Middle East, or people who were perceived to be from the Middle East. It was just, it was wrong. I like that the U.S. actually banded together for a bit. It felt good to see so little arguing because we wanted to fight back. We wanted to prove that we weren't going to fall. And it's one of the reasons I say that the people on the fourth plane represent America. We will push back when things get wrong. Or at least I'd like to have thought that's the way America is. But sometimes you have to question it because, yeah. But 20 years ago, it feels weird knowing it's been that long. I was 21 when it happened. But yeah. But I just wanted to reflect once more, being that we are now at the 20th anniversary of this event. Just like, Kennedy's assassination was a major turning point in the 1960s, World War II in the 1940s. Yeah, the Great Depression in the 1930s. But yeah, that'll be all for this episode. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, later.